everybody. I'm really glad to see so many of you here on this very special 30th anniversary occasion. I can't actually believe that we set this in motion 30 years ago. Perhaps some of you here weren't even born then, maybe a few. Anyway, I think I know we're limited for time, but I want to talk a little bit briefly about my journey into massage and how the MTI came about, briefly as I can. Personally, I started, my initial training was in art. I did a 6-year training in art, ending up at the Royal Academy Schools doing sculpture. After that, I practiced sculpture for a little while, and then my direction changed, because I had a boyfriend at the time who was having Reichian massage. As some of you might have heard, Wilhelm Reich. It wasn't him who was doing the massage, but it was the current thing that was happening at that time. And I got really interested in the whole interconnection, interrelationship between body, mind, emotions, and spirit, and so on, and how touch could be such a potent healing force for not just the physical. So this led me to search out and start doing a course, a training with a woman from California called Anne Parks, who was teaching what she called intuitive massage. She had trained at Esalen in the Big Sur in California, where people at that time, Fritz Perls of Gestalt, George Downey, who wrote the original little book of massage, some of you might know or studied. So she was a huge influence, and although she was teaching for the ITEC certificate, she did so much more than what they required for massage teaching, including meditation, work with the chakras, work with subtle energy. And I was with her for about 2 years, and I got my ITEC certificate, and then I decided I would like to start teaching myself. So I applied to become an ITEC teacher, and got registered with them, and at that time, ITEC, which had been founded by Dr. Arnold Taylor in, I think, 1940, it had been going for years. It was very focused mainly on health and beauty, and you could do a massage course in 3 weekends, not consecutive, but 3 weekends plus 1 weekend with Dr. Arnold Taylor teaching anatomy and physiology. He was rather renowned for his anecdotes about his Rolls Royces and his yacht during these lectures. Anyway, the exam consisted of a large group of students, the practical exam, all working together with an examiner wandering around. You had to do an arm and a leg and so on. I know some of you perhaps still teach for ITEC, and things have probably changed there. They didn't have to do case history or anything.
Not that much.
Really? Okay. Right. So my journey continued. I was teaching courses here in this country and abroad, in Spain, in Greece, and so on. And I would do the required massage training that I wanted, but I also carried on and did a lot more of the other subtle work that I've been learning about. Also, Anne Parks introduced me to Bob Moore, an Irish healer who was working in Denmark, and for 15 years I'd go twice a year to do work with him, the healing and the subtle energy work with Bob, which really influenced my whole approach very much. By the 80s, I was doing a psychotherapy course with an organisation in London, and there were a couple of other people there who were also massage tutors teaching for ITEC, and we all thought, well, there's nothing else. We really would like something more holistic, something new. So that was the germ of the idea. And in fact, the three of us, Piers Myers, myself and Elsie, thought set up what was then called the AMP, the Association of Massage Practitioners, and we attracted various tutors at that time, Anya Dashwood, Sue Fox, who was teaching Dancing Dragon, and Andy, and came into this. So tutors and practitioners, and then out of this came the body known at that time rather clumsily as the Association of Massage Practitioners, training executive. Yeah. Anyway, for a couple of years we worked with this, trying to set things in place. We wanted a good validating body, and then a schism happened between, we had our office in this therapy organisation, although we were separate really, but a schism happened, excuse me, between, in the whole setup, and we branched off. We got a separate office, and there was a sort of slightly uncomfortable divorce proceeding into which Darian was plunged when he first arrived in England. He came to investigate what was still empty, but that was the fledgling, Amity was the fledgling, and then when we moved away from this organisation that we'd been using as an office and support, we set up our own little office in Highbury, and then Sue Fox, Piers Myers and myself were the first directors. Andy and Darian closely involved. We had some good administrators. First one was Eunice Stevens, I'm probably running over time. Then came Andrew, and we had our very first Apple computer. And then we moved office again, and then Chris Wing, our administrator, came on the scene, and whom Diana has taken over for the last how many years, Diana? 4, 5 years?
Since 2011, so 7 years.
Very, yeah, amazing. Time flies by. So, what I want to say also, very important, was Anya Dashwood. Yeah, very important. She was a huge inspiration to us. She'd been teaching massage for quite a long time. And I remember at the beginning, when everything was a bit dodgy and difficult, and we weren't quite sure of the direction we were taking, Anya stressed the importance of having and holding to a vision. And this was what she has, the vision. And I'm pretty amazed to say that I think all of these things have now come to pass. In those early days, she said what we wanted was insurance, both for student and practitioners, a supervision structure, a training to professional standard and postgraduate programs, a newsletter bi-monthly, a register of practitioners for the public, full-time administrator who would be paid, publicity workers, national coordinator, British and foreign, an NCC person. I'm not quite sure, I don't quite remember what NCC was, but I think it was the body that...
It was a forerunner of GCMT, I can't remember.
Yes, anyway, that was the one that kind of accredited us, wasn't it? And 2 monthly massage meetings to exchange and talk about massage fairs, links with other therapies, research, a stalls-based annual conference, here we are, and special needs group, hospitals, medical and research. So I'm pretty awed really to think, right at the beginning, this was our vision, and we didn't really know whether it would ever be manifested, and yet here we are today, and it's proof that it's happened and continues to happen and continues to evolve. So thank you for all participating, and I'd like to hand over now to perhaps Andy.
Thank you, Sarah. Yeah, we've got another question now that...
All right.
That's brilliant. Thank you.
Thanks. I'm really delighted to be up here next to my teacher, Sarah. And it seems quite extraordinary. I first trained with Sarah 34 years ago. And as some of you know, I'm actually retiring in 4 weeks' time. So this feels like a lovely bookending of a career. That's great. Distinctive features of MTI. MTI has a heart-based approach. It combines a strong ethical base, a sound range of techniques, good academic anatomical knowledge. You can go to other courses and you can learn massage techniques. You can go to other courses and learn good anatomy and physiology. You can blend them together, but there's a spirit, there's an ethos within which MTI applies these things that makes it unique. And there's something about seeing massage as a deeper therapeutic process and not just a cosmetic treat, or a medicalised intervention. It's more than both of those. And we also, especially in the early days, there was an ethos of sharing. We were colleagues, we cooperated, we didn't compete. So there were regular gatherings of massage teachers to trade ideas. Oh, how could I put over that idea with a group of students? And yeah, we got on well. We worked stuff out. There weren't any rules, we made them up. It was really exciting and creative, yeah? And so we developed a syllabus, we developed assessment procedures. Darian he's the man that's responsible for the practical exam that you all had to go through. Don't blame me. I remember the year we brought it in, and one of my students came out of his exam, this was about 94, and he said, "My God, I hated that, but I'm so glad you made me do it." And that's it in a nutshell, because it's as close as you can get to the real thing, of where you're actually meeting an unknown client, you're taking a case history, you're making choices about how you will work with them, yeah, and then you're giving an appropriate treatment. Yeah, so different from the massage by numbers that you had with the ITEC approach. Yeah, and adapting as you go along. So you might have an initial plan for your treatment, but because of how the client reacts, you tweak it, you adapt it, you roll with it. Yeah, so there's a process that we engage with, and for me, it's like when I touch somebody. I meet him, yeah? I'm not just touching his body, I'm touching all of his life history to that point, yeah? And that's a profound process. And I think MTI's approach acknowledges the depth and the potential of that process. So, yeah. Just to say, blending good information, good technique, and a strong ethical base, we were able to influence developments on the national stage. Thank you, Darian. I was involved with that. And I really want to mention a very important person who's not here today, Richard Leadpeter, who sadly died in, was it 2011? 2011 or 2012. But he did a huge amount for MTI. He was a brilliant anatomy and physiology teacher. He was really good at supporting vulnerable students. And he brought an element of sense and calm when we were all getting a bit fractious with each other. He would just calm it all down and help us to reach a resolution. So I just wanted to honour Richard's memory. Yeah.
Exactly.
Do you want to add to that, mate?
Hiya. There's so many things to say. Briefly in the history, when I came to this country, I had a school for 10 years in Australia, a massage school. I came here and I was looking around for an organisation to join to start up schools here. And somebody that I met said, well, you've got two choices. You can either join this very formal organisation, they've got all this structure and you'll hate them, or you can join this bunch of disorganised hippies that you really get on with. And while I was considering that, I discovered that the figurehead for this bunch of disorganised hippies was Sarah Thomas, and I'd actually been selling her book in my school in Australia and saying this is the best book that's come out of Britain on massage so far. So no choice really. when I joined, which was 91, I was the first person in the organisation that wanted to teach the ANP, the Anatomy and Physiology, in my own course. They'd inherited a model where people went away for a weekend and did an intensive course of anatomy and physiology, including muscles and bones. And so that whole side of things was totally disassociated from the massage. And when Sarah saw me teaching, they offered me to become Director of Anatomy and Physiology Tuition, which I did for 3 or 4 years. And I said I'll accept it on the condition that we can move immediately the muscles and bones teaching into the courses, so that knowing muscles and bones affected people's massage, and ultimately the ANP into the courses as well. And I had developed the form of the prac exam, which needed a different approach to ANP, because you need to understand it in a practical way to do the consultation, as you all know. And also, that exam is about your ability to adapt to the client, not, as Andy said, not to do a routine. So I take full credit for being the person that did that. I mean, it's an obvious thing to do. I didn't force it on MTI. Sue Fox, actually, I got her as an examiner and she took it. And as Andy said, one thing was that side of a practical understanding of anatomy and physiology. People had an artistic side, nice, relaxing massage, but there's something else that's part of what's special to MTI, not just those things. And so I want to very, very quickly, in a practical way, address those, some of those. There's so many, you know, I could talk to you for another hour or so. But if you grab the person next to you, you know I'm presenting, you're not going to get away without doing something. Okay. So, we're going to do this very quickly because of limited time. What I first want you to do is to approach them in a serious sports massage. You're going to fix them up. They've got big problems. Grab them and how do you do that? Okay, we all know how to do that. Now let's grab them without a technique as such. But this is interesting. Oh, your body's interesting. Oh, you've got some tension here. Let's see if we can push it, pull it, stretch it, press it in a friendly way. What happens? So the quality of touch is one of the huge things of MTI. Take 20 seconds after that. Okay, I want to now do a slight variation on that, which is my version of something that Andy developed, Goldilocks and the Three Bears, like too light, too heavy, just right. So just with your partner, just one of you, because we've only got limited time, I want you to start pressing in, partner give feedback, too light, too much, i.e. where do you want to be met in your body, in this piece of your body, today, now? So the person being touched is giving feedback. Okay, and we could go on with that, the sense. Okay, the sense of meeting the client, right, which will vary from day to day, from time to time. I had a client who always wanted me to get in deep, big solid guy, who was a tree surgeon, hanging out of the trees in all sorts of weather with a chainsaw. He always wanted me to work deep, but one day he came in and he really damaged his back. He could hardly get on the table. And I needed to just do very gentle stretches and so on to just calm him down. So, here irrespective of the client. And I want to do one more thing, because that's all about what you do to the client. What do you do with yourself? And that's another important MTI strand. I want you to put your hands on, one of you on the other, and just breathe a little bit and calm yourself down and think, I'm just here with this person. I don't know them. I don't know what I'm going to do in this session. But can I just be with myself so that I'm communicating a sense of calm and ease? Yeah? Now, that might become quite a strong thing, quite a dynamic thing. It doesn't have to be. But something about what you do with yourself, your self-development, and the theme of supervision is part of that too, because that's not only thinking about issues with clients, but also the issues for you and how you develop. And that self-development is a crucial aspect of MTI.